Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Lauren O'Brien, the Chief Revenue Officer of Cloudastructure. Welcome. We have a great session today on how AI is transforming guarding. And Rick Bentley, our CEO and founder of Cloudastructure, will be sharing some of the industry trends, which we think you really need to know about. Before I get started, I'm just going to show our disclaimer, have you take a look at it. Kathleen will also be putting a link in the chat so you can read this again if you desire. Okay, so let's get started. So Rick Bentley, most of you know, some of you are new though. So Rick Bentley, founder and CEO of Cloudastructure. Rick, you want to just quickly introduce yourself?
Hi, everybody. I started Cloudastructure what feels like a long time ago now. I'm what Silicon Valley refers to as a serial entrepreneur. I think it's a slur. I've worked at big companies and small, but my favorite part is starting new ones.
Okay, well, let's jump into it.
Okay, so our space kind of is the Venn diagram of three different areas. There's cloud, there's AI driven by machine learning, which is how AI is all done now for the most part. Well, all relevant AI, I think right now is driven by machine learning. And physical security. So it's kind of where those three come together. We've raised $35 million via a Reg A Plus. We don't have a Reg A Plus open right now. I think we have a Reg D open, so we can take accredited investor money, but not non-accredited. We've gotten a lot of accolades, both for our fundraising and for our service offerings. I'll go into those in some detail. But the Reg A Plus is interesting. We have over 14,000 investors, but we don't have to file and become public because we're under the Reg A Plus regulations. It's part of the Jobs Act. I'll get into our decorations here in a minute. And we realized after we had built, we think is the best AI-driven video surveillance platform, someone said, hey, can you integrate with remote guarding? We said, sure. Okay, well, here's this third-party platform, Windows-based, thick client. Need a NVR in the cloud or NVR somewhere to get the recording. Can you integrate with that? And we said, no, that's not the right way to do this. Right way to do this would be to have it all in the cloud. And so we built that. It didn't exist before. And we think it's the best remote guarding solution out there too. So I'm not going to go through all these, but these are just some of the awards that we've gotten, trade shows, etc. I think we've done quite well for a new company entering a space that's deeply entrenched by multi-billion-dollar incumbents. All right, so let's do the next one. Video surveillance used to be just a forensic tool. It was used well after the fact. So you would get to the office or apartment, whatever's being covered, the next morning, and you would see, oh, someone smashed the window or kicked in the door and they stole a bunch of stuff. That's a bummer. Well, let's look at the video and see what it looks like. Oh, it's guys in hoods with gloves and masks and sunglasses. Okay. The police can't really do anything with that. And that was the utility of a video surveillance system. So crime happens in real time. So your security system has to work in real time too. And that's where people have tried to do just alerts like, hey, send me an alert if there's someone in front of my building in the middle of the night. And about the fifth time you get woken up because someone's walking down the street in front of your building in the middle of the night, you shut that off. So we're really at the nexus of where artificial intelligence meets human intelligence. And that's a line that we're always trying to push more and more and more towards AI. But the fact of the matter is, AI is not up to human intelligence yet, at least in a lot of things. And one of them is understanding what's normal behavior on video and what isn't. So the AI can detect, hey, that's a car going by. Hey, that's a branch blowing. No reason to bug anyone. Hey, it's after 10 p.m. and there's someone at the front door. Okay, maybe a guard should look at that. So the guard didn't have to watch the video for the last 3 hours since 7 p.m. when the shift began. Just as one alert comes in, it's after 10, there's someone at the front door. So the guard takes a look and sees, oh, that's just someone walking by the front of the office and they go out of view and they're gone. Or that's someone throwing a chair through the window. Those are two very different things that the AI doesn't have a whole lot of opinions about, right? But humans sure do. So the guard then can do several things. The first one is he can talk down in real time. We said your security has to be in real time. So he or she can just press the button and say, you are on remote video by a live agent. This is a protected area. It is after hours. You must leave. Put down the chair, for example, right? And that means when people show up the next morning, instead of a broken window and a bunch of stuff stolen, they just have a security report saying there was a talk down last night. It really turns video surveillance into something much more valuable than it's been before. But unlike physical guards who can't be around the entire building at night, they're in the back while someone's in the front, they're in the front while someone's in the back, or they're on their cell phone and not paying attention, they're asleep in the lobby, right? Those are all possibilities with physical guards. With remote guards, driven by the AI, they're on all the time. The AI is on all the time. The AI is taking all the boring stuff out of it and just showing guards the stuff that they need to be paying attention to. And then, of course, they always dispatch to physical guards. You keep humans busy and not just sitting around 99% of the time doing nothing. The remote guards are working all the time, right? Because they're getting alerts across tens, hundreds, thousands, whatever properties into their guard center. And that guard center, by the way, is browser-based. So you can stick it anywhere. You can stick it in India. You can stick it in Detroit. You can stick it wherever you want to stick that remote guard center, and we can run it for you too. And it costs a fraction of on-site guards, and it frankly does a lot more. In the end, you do need to dispatch police or a private guard or something in order to, at some point, intervene in a lot of situations, right? Let's go on to the next one here. So the way we look at it is there's one of my favorite sayings is our lessons are written on other people's tombstones. The best lessons are ones someone else learned for us, and we got the benefit. Sears owned ordering things online, owned it completely. The Sears catalog was shipped to everyone's house. Call 1-800-Sears, whatever, and boom, you could get anything you want to. It was amazing. And then the internet and the web came out, and they didn't do a website, and Amazon did, and Amazon ate their lunch. Blockbuster was the way to go rent a video. And then Netflix buried them twice, first with doing it by mail and then by doing it online. Taxi industry was $250,000 to buy a medallion so you could enjoy the government sanctioned monopoly of taxi driving. And then Uber came out of nowhere and just crushed it. So we very strongly believe that remote guarding with AI, you can't just have the guards watching video streams all day. That doesn't really fix any problems. But remote guarding with AI is going to do the same thing that these other technologies did to these other spaces. I'll be really brief on this, but suffice to say, we put the stuff in the cloud. There's no NVR on premises anymore. There's no big storage computer with a mouse and a keyboard in a closet or at someone's desk or in the basement or whatever, where people go to see the video. It's all in the cloud. You can use it from any computer in the building, any computer not in the building that has permission, your cell phone, your tablet, whatever. Let's go to the next one and watch the video. There's audio here. Are we sure the audio's coming through?
You are in live video monitor location. You've been observed by a live agent. All activities are being recorded. The police have been contacted.
Attention, you're being watched and recorded by a live agent. You're in a protected area. You must leave immediately. Authorities are being notified. You are being watched and video recorded by a live agent. You're on private property. You must exit immediately.
Attention. Be advised, you're in a protected area. You must leave immediately. Attention, you're being watched and video recorded by a live agent. You're in a restricted area and you must leave immediately. The authorities have been contacted and provided with your description.
So you get the idea.
Oh, sorry.
This is crime actually being deterred. This isn't a forensic analysis the next morning of, oh, 6 cars got broken into last night and there's 6 really angry tenants or employees at this building, whatever. The deterrence rate, the apprehension rate, and the reduction of the guard costs are all very real for a superior solution. Again, guards can't be everywhere, whether they're remote or on premises. They just can't watch all the video all the time. There's a saying in the security space, how many cameras do you add until you can't see anything? It's probably not 2 or 5, but somewhere around 10, 20, certainly before you get to 100, there's just too much to watch, right? One human can't process it anymore. But computers don't get tired. AI never sleeps. And it can bring up to the guards what they need to be saying. And that's the proposition. I think that's the last slide, right? Right, Lauren?
Yep, that's the last slide. Yep. So now we're going to open it up for your questions. We're really here to respond to questions you guys have. So put your questions in the chat or Q&A, and we'll respond to them.
Oh, I think that is this our other Rick Bentley? Because it looks like this VR truck, but we actually have an investor whose name is the same as mine. Is this him?
Yes, it looks like it.
Okay, great, fantastic. Hi, Rick, how you doing? I love your name. And so the question Rick has is the analyst agent on site to reduce latency and data costs? And the answer is no, because that would be very cost ineffective, right? It'd be very hard to staff that. Even just 7 p.m. to 7 a.m., 7 days a week, that's plus over Christmas and New Year's and stuff. That's like, that's hard. That's a hard role to fill. So the guard can literally be anywhere. It can be in India for lowest cost. It can be US based if you want that as well, cost 1.5 times as much sort of thing, maybe twice as much. But the whole point is that they're off site and they have the ability to slice their time across many locations, right? So the alerts get averaged out and the guards, hopefully are never fully saturated, but they can do their job across multiple accounts. Latencies nowadays, there's kind of fiber everywhere. If not, there's at least fast cable. So latency isn't too much of a problem. The AI pipeline is more of a problem than the actual internet latency for us. I'm always working to get that down. Good question though. What sort of data sets are you training your models with? Yeah, that's a great question. We start with some open source data sets that give us a good leg up, but then we have a team that goes through and looks for the false negatives and the false positives and does some retraining off of actual surveillance video. So we're actually retraining off of actual surveillance video because we have a lot of it. Well, here's the thing with machine learning. The US military wanted to detect VBIEDs, vehicle-borne improvised explosive devices. I was a contractor in Baghdad for a couple times in 2004 and 2005. That's the only reason why I know this. And they said, okay, well, it's hard for us to tell which car is totally laden with explosives or not. So let's send all these cars through a video analysis system, and we'll have regular cars and we'll have cars that later blew up. And maybe the computer can be really good at figuring out which ones are suspicious. Well, the computer basically figured out that cars with sand in the background were probably VBIEDs because their training set was so flawed, right? They had pictures in Baghdad for the cars that were blowing up, and they got a bunch of pictures off the internet of regular cars, right? So that didn't work well. You need to get all your video, the false positives and the false negatives, as well as all the true positives and true negatives from the same source. And that means from a video surveillance camera, typically mounted a little higher. It's definitely not lit like a studio. There's just a lot of subtle differences. And so we train off of the video data, which is really important. Is this available already internationally? I.e. voice warnings in Spanish and Portuguese. The voice warnings are dependent on the call center. And by the way, there's pretty low cost areas for both Spanish and Portuguese. Brazil and South America come to mind. So if anyone wanted to build their own guard center in either place or wanted us to do it for them, we'd be happy to. At present, we're English only, but Lauren, you want to go ahead?
Yeah, no, we do have a couple of clients in Colombia right now who are doing that, Spanish speaking. So, if you have people that you want to provide as services or you want our services, we do have Spanish.
Okay, so our partner in Colombia is willing to take on other accounts.
Yep.
Great, okay, fantastic. I didn't even know that. New information, everyone. It's interesting. I normally wouldn't think, hey, it's time to go international before you've saturated the US market, but there's such a security need in Colombia that it seems like it's making sense. Have you approached the physical gaming industry players about building jointly AI trained on ML models to catch gambling cheaters? Oh, that's interesting. We haven't. One of our early stage investors, Bob Mathewson, he's son of Chuck Mathewson, who for a while owned IGT, International Gaming Technologies, the biggest maker of slot machines. So we do have some insight to the space. One of the interesting things about video surveillance at casinos is they are massive undertakings. I mean, they've got thousands of cameras. They got a security operations center with a giant monitor wall, and they kind of went full circle from going past cloud and all the way back to this massive on-premises center again that you could never really afford to duplicate at an office building or apartment building or anything. But yeah, maybe there's something there. If anyone knows about gambling cheaters, toss Lauren a line here and see if that's something we could do. I'm trying to think how we would train that. That'd be interesting. They have such great video though, the sleight of hand tricks and stuff. We certainly could. If no one's done that, that'd be kind of fun thing to do, right? We just need the training videos. Training videos are typically, you need a lot of them. You need 10,000 that are and 50,000 that aren't, right? So 10,000 times you caught someone using the sleight of hand might be a hard data set to get, but you could get a good start off of 100. So I bet that's probably approachable. How to prevent / take care of false triggering scenarios? Yeah, and this is a very interesting topic to us because we're working on it all the time. There's false positives, which is like, hey, someone's breaking into the building when it's really just someone walking past or something. And then there's false negatives where everything's fine, but in reality, someone's breaking into the building, right? And those are the two things you're always working on. And everyone wants two knobs, and then they go, and they want to turn down false positives and false negatives at the same time. But in reality, it's a slider. You can have no false positives. So you're only going to get an alert when someone's breaking into the building. We're using this breaking into the building example. There's lots of other alerts you could get, but you have no false positives. But then you're going to have a fair number of false negatives, right? You're going to miss some things that are actually happening that you want to know about. So we really need to set that slider to the other side. We need to not miss anything, right? No one's going to forgive us if something bad happens and the system didn't pick it up, which means we're doing the best filtering we can with AI, but then the guards are the next layer, right? And so they're saying that's normal behavior, that's normal behavior. It's probably like 10 or 100 to 1 of the guards seeing things that are actually normal that they've been alerted to before each talk down, right? So, something like that. And that's by design, right? We could save our guards 10x or 100x their load, but then we might miss something. We can't afford to miss it. How would the AI differentiate between someone who is working late and someone who has malicious intent? And that's exactly the point. The AI is not great at that yet. So for example, someone jiggling their key in the lock because it's stuck looks a lot like someone who's using a little crowbar to open the door, right? To the AI, it's pretty much the same thing, but the human can pick that up. The AI is getting rid of all the other stuff, branches blowing, cars passing by, things like that, people walking by but not in the detection zone, all that sort of stuff. And so then when there's someone, really at the building, that's when the AI kicks in. And it could be other things too. It could be car when there's not usually a car, it could be animal, it could be all sorts of stuff, right? It could be this person, this space. Hey, the person who's been stalking the VP of marketing is back again. We got a restraining order. We need to know about this so we can make them go away. And those are things that humans aren't as good at as AI. Okay, you would have to work with their experts, but narrowing which screens to focus on that. Yeah.
I think that was in reference to the gambling.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's right. Yeah, that would be interesting. I don't know if anyone's tried that before. And again, like every card table has the camera right over it, looking straight down that sees everything. So that would be interesting.
Yeah.
There's a lot of sleight of hand stuff there that, I'm sure the humans who work at casinos are good at finding, but they can't look at every camera all the time, right? Is this cost effective to use in primary and secondary homes for individuals, or is this aspect not available yet? So we do have some crossover. We see it all the time between commercial grade applications and high net worth homes, from security systems to HVAC to building standards, whatever, right? We start to see that sort of crossover. But for the regular 500K, whatever the average home is, 400K in America now, it's not like Nest or Wemo or these other consumer level, consumer grade applications, right? And so we're kind of leaving the consumer stuff to those players, and we're focused on enterprises who have a large number of locations and need them to work intelligently between them. But I have them on my homes. We use those for demo sites all the time. It works great, but it's not, we're not trying to compete with Nest or Wemo or all the other Taiwan and Chinese video solutions. Estimated date of going public. So the first rule of Fight Club is you can't talk about Fight Club. And the SEC says the first rule about going IPOs, you can't talk about your IPO until you file everything. I will say this, it's not an awesome market for it right now. So I'm not busy with it right now. Let's put it that way. When the time is right though, man, that is exactly what I want to do with this company. And we all do too. Can AI identify fake tracking numbers regarding purchase from foreign companies? Also, they're legit. You mean tracking numbers like the UPC code on the product or shipping labels or that sort of thing? I think AI could. We don't have any solution for that, but that would be interesting, especially if it was database backed, where it could go and pull the tracking numbers from the shipper. Over time, would AI learn familiar faces of the space? Yeah, so I am simultaneously terrified and reassured about AI's abilities to track every human on the planet. We all have what to AI is effectively a twin out there, or tens or hundreds of them. All face recognition is doing is taking a bunch of different variables and mapping them into this multidimensional space. So let me just do a two-dimensional space example, and then you can see how it can map into other dimensions. Let's take the distance between my pupils. I'm sure I look really great right now, right? And that's a line between my pupils, and that versus from that same line to the bottom of my upper row of teeth. My bottom teeth move up and down. Your top teeth are fixed to your skull, right? So this versus that is some ratio, right? That we all have. Let's take that, and then let's also take that same line versus the top of the ears. Are your ears higher, are your ears lower, right? Are they right on line, whatever. And put those into a two-dimensional space, right? So you have this one ratio here, how high they are here. And it'll see my face, and it'll make a bunch of dots here in a cluster, and it'll see Lauren's face and make a bunch of dots here in the cluster, right? Lauren's better looking than I am, so I'm gonna make this the better looking space. So it can see that those are different, right? And so, hey, this is Rick, and this is Lauren, right? And then someone new shows up over here, and they got their own little cluster. Now take that and multiply it by 1,000 dimensions, right? There's all these other things it's looking at: width of your nose, thickness of your lips, all sorts of things we even know about, right? That it found on its own. And it's taking all of those in some massive multidimensional space. Now, here's the problem. They're all like these clusters, right? It's never the exact same reading again and again, because it's a little different when you measure this way than when you measure this way. You measure straight on. There's always just a little error in it. And what that means is these clusters, when you get enough people in them, they start to overlap, right? And then the computer doesn't know really about what's in the middle there. We address that by allowing the humans to do what we call supervised learning, what the space calls supervised learning, where you say, yep, that's Rick, green check. Yep, that's Rick, green check. No, that's not Rick, that's Bruce. That sort of supervised learning makes the system more powerful, because it starts to figure out how to separate these two overlapping clusters. But you get to billions of people in the world, and we've all got hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of people in our overlapping clusters, right? So it's a long way before Skynet can identify every person on the planet by face recognition. But for the people in this office building, in this town, in this city, yeah, you can start to separate people out that way. So for the space, like the what you're guarding, yeah, and for sure, it's really good at, hey, there's the person with the restraining order, send an alert. That works really well. That's like a set of one, right? Is it that person or not? How do you treat with video verification versus remote guarding? Is that the software level or the guard level? So the AI, just to be clear, is doing a lot of different things to make the 99% of the video irrelevant to the guards, right? There's no one there right now is the biggest one, right? Or there's nothing happening right now. There's no motion. And then after motion, is there a person or a vehicle or an animal there? And then are the inside a certain bounded area? Did they cross coming this way, or are they going out that way, right? Are they coming in or going out if it's a entrance exit sort of thing, right? And so those are the sort of things it's looking for first before it's starting to look at guards. Also things like, hey, that guy in the bad actor list is back. So there's other alerts as well, but the video's doing the vast majority of the watching of the cameras, right? 99 point something percent kind of thing. And then the guards are being brought in when there's a decision to be made. And so the guards are humans. They're better at decision making for this sort of stuff than the AI is. During last presentation, there was a question about projected sales for this year, which you couldn't share. Can you share projected revenue now for the year? We've got our regular filings with the Reg A Plus. We have mandated reporting. And so when that comes out, we can share it. We have to do semi-annual reporting. So it's called a 1SA. It's 1SA form. Greg, our CFO, handles all that. And after it's out, we can read it to you, right? But that's kind of what we're limited in our ability to do. Yeah, they're also theft of chips or tokens by players, pickpockets getting chips out of purses. Yeah, 100%. You know, I wonder if there is something there for casinos. Just keeps coming up.
I think we'll follow up with that one, definitely. Thanks, Robert, on that.
Would a facial recognition software be able to prevent or lower the odds of false scenarios? Yeah. So for example, if you know that is someone who works at the building and they're supposed to be there, you don't need to alert that one. And so that's the sort of stuff that the system can get better and better at over time, right? We don't have all the features turned on yet, but we're working on it.
I think it's an interesting question, just as a tangent. Some of our competitors have facial recognition plugins and they're not doing it. So again, it's not an integrated solution. We have facial recognition in our software. And so it's seamless. It's not something you have to pay extra, learn, integrate with a different system, et cetera. So it is a differentiator in some cases.
Could Cloudastructure and Nightscope see themselves ever collaborating? I know a lot about Nightscope. William Santana Lee and I were portfolio company CEOs at SoftBank in the early 2000s. He was doing Model E when I was doing Televoke. Televoke merged with Telcontar, did a name change to Jakarta, and got bought by Uber after a long fuse. Model E, I think, spun down, but then he started Carbon Motors, which was doing a custom-built cop car. And I was briefly his CTO for that company. And I talked to him extensively about the beginning of Nightscope. And I ended up focusing on Cloudastructure, and he ended up focusing on Nightscope. And they had a board member who worked at Cisco or something. I forget which company it was a large video incumbent. And they went with that company's platform. Yeah, but I'd be happy to. I haven't talked with Mr. Lee in years now. I should look him up.
I think it would be great. I would love to partner up on that kind of solution. It's probably a couple years out, but still, it's a great combination with our remote guarding now. It'd be great.
And I love the robots. They're cool.
I love the robots.
Yeah. Is there an opportunity for public car lots to prevent break-ins and theft? Yeah, we've actually bought a parking solution in the past. It hasn't taken off the way we had hoped. Remote guarding has been the killer app for us. So we're mostly focusing on that. But for break-ins and theft, yeah, absolutely. So, one camera could cover a fair number of spots too, if you're just looking for people in between cars. And again, it would be, mostly after dark sort of thing. If someone's there, you want to know what's going on, but even daytime too. Again, it's that subtlety. What is it if you have a camera looking down at a lot, seeing 100 cars, and you see the people going between the cars, right? What's the difference between someone walking up and using their remote or putting their key in versus them smashing a brick through the window? Or actually, I don't know if you watch Mark Rober, a YouTube guy who does the glitter bomb bait traps for scammers. He did one on cars in San Francisco. And these guys actually wear gloves with a circular disc with a point on it that's made out of a very hard metal. And they can just pop the windows. It looks like Iron Man blowing out a window with his repulsor rays or something. But anyway, it's very subtle. It's very fast. They're like boom, and they open the door and they're in, right? So the AI, again, won't be able to detect that, but you could have a guard check every time someone approaches a car, right? And it's probably like 400 times out of 401, it's fine, right? But that one time the human will see what's going on and can talk down, maybe after the window's broken or something, but can also potentially get the description and dispatch in real time and catch the person. What you will see though are people casing cars. They don't go to one car. They're kind of looking in windows and checking out multiple cars. That's one that you could definitely nab for sure.
Yeah, and I'll say that most of the folks that we have for remote guarding right now are using it in their parking lots as well as public areas. So it's definitely a big application.
Yeah, and that's based upon there's someone kind of loitering in the parking, and we're great at picking that up. Okay, I think we've run out of questions. Anyone got anything else?
Yeah, I think the only thing that maybe we could touch on that the questions didn't come up, but maybe just speak a little bit to the ROI of we talked about this industry shift, and the whole thing is AI and remote guarding will eventually replace man guarding. And it's a big cost savings. And you might have mentioned it, but maybe just conclude with that.
Sure. And I'll just go over the fundamentals again to begin with. You have 100 cameras, right? You put them all up on a wall. It's 10 by 10, right? Someone's sitting there going dizzy trying to look at 100 cameras, and there's something happening here and there's something happening there, and he can't really even see them all at the same time. And then sometimes they're all blank and nothing's going on. So that's just a really hard thing for a human to do. Our brains just don't take boredom well. It's almost like a form of torture, right? Solitary confinement. And it's just hard for a human to do that just physically, biologically. They don't do a good job of it, and it's expensive to have a guard sit there and watch cameras that aren't doing anything, right? You got 10 cameras at one building, you got 10 cameras at another building, you got 40 at another. You're talking about 5 or 6 guards before you even get to 100 cameras if you're doing it building by building. So even if it's all up and streamed to the cloud somewhere, I don't know how many cameras a guard can watch at a time, but it's definitely not 100. It's a lot less. Computers can watch all the cameras all the time, and they never get bored. And they cost a whole lot less, and they're getting better and better all the time at figuring out what's going on. AI is just getting better and better trained. I mean, we see with chatbots and everything else. It starts to get spooky after a while, how good of a job the AI can do. And so the AI is taking out 99.9% of the work. And that is 99 point some number of point somethings savings, right? Because you're not paying humans to do all that. You're having the computer doing it. The computer's great doing it over and over again. So fundamentally, it's going to cost a lot less money to have that first level done by AI. And then just bringing the humans where you need them. And it's really orders of magnitude difference in the cost equation.
Yeah, I think the other trend we're seeing is with manned guards, physical guards, as everyone knows, it's hard to find good people. It's not a very high paying job. Do you get quality people? You're spending a lot of money for physical guards. And then the more recent one we're seeing is just the safety of the guards themselves. A lot of people don't want to put guards at risk at that level. They want to call in the big guns when they need them, but not have their sort of daily guards exposed to perhaps a risky situation. So people are really gravitating to AI and remote guarding so that they can still give security, but they're not exposing a human to potentially some of that risk.
Yeah, one of the people who helps us set up and tear down our trade show booths is a friend of mine from college, Art Javier, and he works as a security guard the rest of the time when he's not helping us with trade show stuff. And he's in downtown San Francisco, and he's getting spit at, and he gets in confrontations all the time. And it's good to have a physical guard there. I think it's better to have all the guards show up at once when something happens, versus just kind of having this target for abuse. I think it's just the remote guarding model is the best of all possible models.
Yeah, absolutely. One last question on license plates, what we're doing around license plate recognition you might want to share.
Yep, I see that there, and absolutely. We're already reading all the license plates, and we can send an alert when you get the license plate that you don't want to be there.
Okay. All right. So once again, thanks everybody for coming. As always, if you have additional questions, you can reach us at investorsupport@cloudastructure.com. You also have our emails likely directly by this time. And hopefully this was informative for you. We think it's a great opportunity. And thanks again for coming, and have a good rest of your day.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.